Hey, welcome everybody to InfernoCast number 005. I, of course, am InfernoFox. And what we've got here today is a fantastic discussion about a sensational game. And I'm saying sensational as a double meaning, Animal Crossing, specifically Animal Crossing New Horizons. And of course, we may branch into other Animal Crossing games in the series, but we'll probably most likely focus in on Animal Crossing New Horizons itself, as well as maybe some additional cozy game discussion. I, of course, am InfernoFox. I am the host of this YouTube site, as well as future expansion to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And joining me today, of course, we have Stormrosesky. She is the lead and runner of the Twitch and YouTube channels of Stormrosesky. Storm, thank you for joining us, and thank you again for all of your help with this specific topic.
Thank you for having me. I love Animal Crossing, so well, especially New Horizon. It's the only one I've played, but so I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. We also have Jason the 13th. He has his YouTube channel, of course, Jason the 13th. Jason, thanks again for joining us.
Not a problem. Happy to be here.
And we have Jamie Owls 87. She is my partner in crime. Jamie Owls, thank you for joining us here.
Hello, thanks for having me again.
And next we have Simbu Darkfang. He is the level 5 grandpa and also a major participant for Basement of the Dead in Aurora, Illinois. That again, of course, is Basement of the Dead, Aurora, Illinois. Simbu, thank you for joining us.
What was that? I turned my hearing aid off.
You don't disappoint us, level 5 grandpa.
Happy to be here. Great to see everybody again.
And last but certainly not least, we have Astrimedes. He is the developer and co-lead of Second Place Games. Astrimedes, thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for having me, InfernoFox. Happy to be here again after day job stuff got in the way last time.
Oh gosh, I can definitely understand that. Before we jump into the topic, of course, I always like to ask games that you are playing, the games that you are currently playing right now. I'm going to start off and just mention that once again, I am still playing Trails of Cold Steel, the first entry, and you're going to be hearing me say that a lot because these entries or games are like 60 to 80 hour-long RPG affairs, but it's been a great time, great experience, and looking forward to continue it. Simbu, what are you currently playing right now?
Well, kind of a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Fortnite, Kart Rider Drift, which is a fun little, Wish version of Mario Kart. I'm of course also playing Payday 2, Diablo 4, and Mass Effect Andromeda and the Fractured Butthole. So a lot on my plate, but
Par
plus
for the
that's
course.
Power Wash. Yeah, plus that Power Wash Simulator, which we'll probably end up talking about on this because it seems like a good podcast to bring that one up.
Because in a way, it's kind of like a cozy type game.
Yeah, exactly.
Storm, what are you currently playing right now?
Right now, I just finished Fractured Butthole, well, the main story. So I have some of the side quests to do, and I'm probably going to check out some of the DLC because I absolutely loved it. Fortnite and still Event Horizon, I'll always call it wrong. And I think I'm going to start Alan Wake because it just came out.
Yes.
For the PlayStation subscription one. So there was a band, Poets of the Fall, that had a song at the end of that video game, and that was how I found them years ago. So I'm excited to play it, and yeah, that's about it.
Jamie Owls, I heard you agree to Storm there.
I was clapping. I was excited for her.
What are you currently playing, Jamie Owls? I mean, I already know, but what is that? Well, let everyone else know.
You do?
Gee, I wonder how. Well, honestly, Honestly, I do not play video games every single day. I'm still in between playing Battle for Bikini Bottom, the SpongeBob SquarePants game. Luigi's Mansion 3, I'm still playing. I also kind of switch around a bit and play The Sims. I just started playing Animal Crossing again today. I stopped playing that for about a month or two just to give myself a break. But the next game that I'm planning on playing soon, it came out this year, I believe. It's that Biomutant. It
Oh yeah,
looks
that's
like a
right.
yeah, it looks like a little fox and it looks like some robotic apocalyptic world. So I'm looking forward to playing that.
Cool. Yeah, I think that was also part of the PlayStation Plus essential tier. We've got that
Yes.
on
Yeah.
our PS5 downloaded, so that'll be ready for us.
Are you talking to Endling?
Talking to what?
Sounds
Endling.
like it because I downloaded it,
Endling,
but I
Extinction
haven't
is
cracked
Forever.
it yet.
Oh, that
I
was
also
that,
downloaded that.
that was this month, but Biomutants I think was like 6 months
Biomutant's
ago.
new. Okay.
Oh.
Old one. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So, Astrimedes, what games are you currently playing right now?
I'm playing a little bit of Darkest Dungeon 2. I still like it. It's still good. It's still really weird and depressing. I been playing this. I got like I kind of flamed out on Marvel Snap after playing it for like a month or two, maybe. I was like, okay, this feels a little too light for me. I want something more crunchy. So I continued my weird quest for an interesting card game. And cat. And so I found this Eternal card game basically, and I don't know if I'm going to keep playing it. I think I'm basically the same point in some respects I was with Marvel Snap, where I see the deal now. It's very hard to make a good deck in this game, and this game is just, it's essentially like a straight up kind of like Magic ripoff. Basically, if you remember Magic, it's most of the same stuff, which they made some interesting choices that did kind of streamline more complex gameplay into a good like turn-based setup where like you get your opportunity to do a thing in response and it's actually less awkward than in real life having to sometimes make sure everyone remembers and doesn't skip the reaction phase kind of stuff, whatever. But yeah, long story short, I don't think I love the game overall, and I will probably stop playing that too and maybe keep looking again for a different card game that probably doesn't exist that satisfies whatever my weird needs are. And other than that, I'll just mention too, just as this is a strange thing, I saw references this game Fear and Hunger online. I saw it just show up on YouTube or something. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but it's like I've been watching weird clips on YouTube of it. It's like a really like dark. It looks like absolutely like painful to play in that it's one of those really, it's like an RPG sort of JRPG type combat sort of thing, except it's like very kind of like gory and punishing. Enemies can like lop your limb off and it's just gone forever, and like it's any random combat can do that, but it has like kind of really weird like unique sort of lore and that kind of thing. So I don't know.
I might have heard, I don't know where the heck I've heard of it, but I think I heard where you can either, it might even be a different game or something, but where you're presented choices of where you have to lose an entire arm or sacrifice one of your party members.
That is one of the things that happens. Yes. Like
okay.
There's two of those games. Yeah. And they look really, that's interesting. Did you also see it just kind of randomly encountered on YouTube or something like that? Probably.
Yeah. One of the content creators I follow was mentioning it, and it's a really interesting concept. It really reminds me of, I'm really out in the weeds here. That old NES game, Sweet Home, which it's essentially what Resident Evil was based off of, where it's an RPG.
I'm not actually familiar with that. Yeah.
Yeah, RPG. You're in a haunted house, except if one of your characters dies, it's permadeath. They're gone for good. And you could actually lose the entire game. But yeah, like to me, that's an intriguing concept. Like, okay, you'll lose your arm and effectively lose like 25% of your attack power, but you still have one of your party members.
Yeah, I mean, like to me, it's like a game like that. It seems like I would hesitate to say that it's even like a good game in my estimation, only because like it seems like it is literally like painful to play. I do though think it's kind of an interesting game in that I had a few days there where I was just like seeking out all the weird content about it, showing the gameplay that I could find on YouTube, because that is the more preferable way to experience it, as I'm literally watching someone that says, yeah, I've done this area 50 times. Now I know that I have to do this in order to not die for a very not obvious reason as I go through this part. But like the game's full of like lore, and it's clearly one of those like auteur, the creator, had a very particular and weird vision about what they wanted to do, but like it results in this kind of like flawed but interesting looking sort of game. So
Interesting.
yeah, that was my weird diatribe there.
No, that's interesting. It's funny that I actually knew that. Jason,
Must be making the rounds on YouTube.
Jason, what are you currently playing right now?
Same old things: Fortnite, Pokemon, Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and as I said earlier, I just downloaded the Endling game. I've actually been looking forward to playing that one a little bit and seeing how that one goes.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, we got that downloaded too. So Jamie Owls, if you're interested in trying that on our PS5, maybe take a look at that.
Yeah, I have to check that out because it sounds so familiar. I can't picture it right now, but yeah, I'll definitely play it.
If you're a mother fox protecting three little foxes, and doesn't sound like
okay.
it doesn't sound like a long game, but it sounds more like a puzzle game from what
Okay.
I understood. So like I said, I downloaded it and I'm looking forward to giving that one a shot for a little bit.
I actually do have that as a physical copy. I just have so many games that I forgot that I have. So yeah.
Nice.
It almost kind of sounds like to me that it might be like one of those environmentally conscious type games.
Very
Just
possible on that.
From judging from the little bit that I know that I've seen of it, it's,
Right.
not a big deal, but just an
And
observation.
and or like storybook games, because I know Ori and the Blind
Mhm.
Forest and Ori, I think Will o' the Wisp was like the same way. I've heard a lot of praise for both those games. I played the first Ori and like it was fine. It didn't resonate with me personally as much as a lot of other people, but it was fine. And maybe the Endling game is the same way. But Simbu, yeah, that's it's funny you say that, because like I've noticed that with other entries. But on to the main topic here, and that of course is Animal Crossing. So all about, of course, Animal Crossing. And for me personally, my favorite Animal Crossing is probably the Deer Crossing, because the deer itself is a good animal that crosses over the. Simba, what's your favorite Animal Crossing?
I gotta say, the snake crossing. A lot of people just run snakes over. It's not very, nice. They did nothing. They're just trying to get across the road, probably, to their sweethearts. How would you like it if you got hit?
Exactly.
Hey guys, I'm gonna interrupt real quick. We just lost power, so there's a chance I may drop out.
Oh,
I will
no.
come back to the meeting, of course, but Greg is going to check out and back what's going on. If somebody moved the switch or whatever, like out back, flipped, playing around with the outlets or whatever outside. So there you go.
Fun.
Be
Oh,
on the edge of our
and
seat.
the power is back. So
Ah.
never mind.
See?
We're good. Continue on.
That's the see, for all of our audience, this is the beauty of our podcast. You just never know what is going to happen. I mean, you got Animal Crossing jokes, you got power outages, who knows what the heck's going to happen. The ceiling come down.
And I was
think
nice
that
and
this
didn't
was
swear.
planned. This was already planned, because as soon as, Inferno, you said, your favorite Animal Crossing, I'm pretty sure she motioned to Greg and was like, hey, hit the power, hit the power.
Yeah.
This is my topic.
Figures.
Uh-huh.
It figures.
Oh, no. Okay. So Animal Crossing, and again, huge shout out to Storm for all of the information that we're going to present here. And of course, the big question, if you've been under a rock and you don't know, what is Animal Crossing, specifically Animal Crossing New Horizons? And of course, there are other variants, and the series itself premiered in North America and I believe the PAL region, Europe, on the Nintendo GameCube, but it was in Japan first on the Nintendo 64. So what we got in the US was a ported / little bit updated copy of Animal Crossing on the 64 back when we got it on the GameCube. That is pretty much the extent of my own knowledge of the series off the cuff. But again, other entries that have appeared, like New Leaf on the 3DS. I want to say there was a Wii one. There was a god awful one on the Wii U. I believe that was Amiibo Festival, and that all that was just a cash grab / Mario Party type game where you did everything except play mini games. So how fun that is. But one of the things with New Horizons is this was a lot of exposure for a lot of new people, a lot of new players and everything. And one of the things with the Switch is the Switch ended up being like a gateway system for a lot of individuals, either just getting into video games, period, especially if they're younger or even like young kids, to even those of us that hadn't been in video games that have gotten back into it now. And I say gateway because there are some of us, maybe one or two of us in this chat, that use the Switch to be able to get into other systems such as the PS5. But for let me open up the field here just to kind of see what everybody says here. Storm, Jason, Jamie Owls, I believe that y'all were the ones with the Animal Crossing experience. Was New Horizons the first one that the three of you guys have played?
Yes, for me it was.
Sorry, you can go ahead.
I actually played a little bit of the New Leaf on the 3DS, but not as much as New Horizon.
I would say New Horizon is the one that I play the longest. The New Leaf one, I remember trying it, but I don't know if it was at that time. I just didn't get into it. But the New Horizons is the Animal Crossing that I played a lot more. So technically that one will be like the first.
Gotcha. That's cool. Yeah, I know it's really interesting to see how the series has progressed, but managed to really retain that sort of small town, Smallville type feel, to where your main character as the villager, it works to either build up their home or in this instance with New Horizons, their island. And of course that begs the question of progression. So one of the things that you got to do there is to get 3 stars to unlock terraforming. 5 stars is the ultimate goal. Getting 3 stars on the island means that a character named KK Slider will come and perform on your island, and then after that you can unlock the terraforming, and obviously it's building hills, paths, rivers. And then one of the interesting things is the money aspect, and of course it's not gold points or gil or cash or whatever, it's bells, earning bells. And so you want to farm stuff so that you can maybe farm fish or whatnot, so you can start selling things to Timmy and Tommy at their store. Fruits from other islands are worth more. There's a turnip stock market where prices can change twice a day, in the morning and the afternoon, but you can only buy turnips on Sundays before noon, which is noon, of course, your local time, from a character named Daisy May. And one other character that is funny too is the landlord Tom Nook. So you got to pay your rent, you got to pay Tom Nook, otherwise you're going to get him knocking on your door, and he'll be like, "Hey, Stu, rent's due, mother." So yeah, you don't want
Flowers.
If you want to go down a good rabbit hole, look up like Tom Nook videos on YouTube. A lot of people have done fun, creative things with him. Yeah, there are a lot of fun Animal Crossing videos out there, but people don't like him.
I always thought Go ahead.
Sorry. Just for real quick, Storm. For content's sake, for age rating, is there any sort of adult when you're looking up those videos, or are they all kind of like like kid friendly?
That is a good question. They can, well, Animal Crossing. Oh,
makes
there
no
are ways.
guarantees.
Yeah, you can't guarantee it because, well, some of the, they've made rap songs out of it, and some of the lyrics are okay, but like you really can't make it X-rated because Nintendo filters pretty well for you to like be able to do that. I mean, people have made their own clothing that show boobies and stuff, but if they get reported, blah blah blah, which is a whole different eye roll that people will report people for having, oh my god, a naked thing, but whatever. And we won't. I mean, there's a statue in there of the statue of David, and everyone flips out because
oh my god, that's right. I
Of
forgot
course.
all about that.
There
They
was
had to
huge
censor the darn
controversy.
thing. Yep.
Yep, you can. Well, he's still uncensored. You can still see his peen.
Wow.
And what's great is you catch your villagers looking at it, and they'll have a microscope, not a microscope, magnifying glass out, looking at it.
Oh,
I've
microscope.
taken
Poor David.
no. I've taken screenshots of my villagers just looking at it,
That's
and they're
awesome.
holding up that magnifying glass, just looking and tilting their heads, and they look at you like, "What?" It's,
Why does it look different?
yes.
Because they're used
Oh,
to animals, animals
Yeah.
have different
Yes.
types of anatomy.
Exactly. Oh boy.
As you described the resources, I was remembering kind of a thought I had running up to this, probably as I was playing all those weird, stupid digital card games. The resource system in a game like Animal Crossing, it almost reminds me of like a microtransaction-y resource system where there's this like just the fact that there's this need for these kind of like multiple kinds of resources. So much of this, you can get one of these, which lets you now get one of these, and that sort of progression, except without the gross actual microtransactions, just a self-contained little system.
It's funny you say that, and it's in a way to where Nintendo can keep getting the player to come back to the island to do the chores, to put the time in and everything like that. And I should mention, one of the systems in Animal Crossing is the smartphone, and that is not limited by or it is limited by transactional stuff. You can spend the money to actually buy the resources. And fortunately, with Animal Crossing on New Horizons, there are something known as actual treasure islands, where you can go and sell the turnips, get max bells, so you never have to worry about bells again. There are individuals that have modified switches that are made into islands that house items for the game, which allow players to get anything that they want or need, and they can take them back to the island and decorate the houses and whatnot. It's actually a pretty cool system, because then you're not limited by the internal economy, and it's something that Nintendo really doesn't care for, because they sometimes go around with the ban hammer and ban some of those particular
I'm sure
users,
abuses,
right. And not even just the individual from the game, but sometimes they ban them from the Nintendo Online as a whole. So you got to be careful if you want to designate anything like that. So
it is that Switch unit that will get banned. There were a couple of streamers that had quite a few treasure islands that have had Nintendo or had Switches get banned from online, and that is it. Then your Nintendo, that Nintendo is then bricked from getting online, but you still have a modified Switch, which your first generation Switches, if you are interested in selling, at one time there was still a good market for it. You could get brand new price, like even if it was used, you could get your like $350 for it easy, because they were so in demand.
And easy to mod. You can literally do so with a paper clip. When you do that, you go in, you hack the Switch, you get a Switch emulator. I forget the name of it. I think it starts with an S. Almost said Simbu, but that's not Simbu here.
Wait a minute. Hey, wait a minute.
There,
Hold on.
yeah, there are a few different ones. It's as easy as putting in a different SD card, and I no longer have my original Switch. I sold it to get the OLED, but on Greg's Switch, that is still the first generation, so I know I could mod it if I wanted to. It's easy as if I sent it to my friend Allison, who has a buttload of treasure islands just on a card, and it's a matter of flipping it back and forth. So it's even as simple as that. All the information is out there for it. This is what got me started on Twitch streaming was Animal Crossing, because I started watching people stream treasure islands, because there hits a point where you are tired of knocking down stuff for the bells. You see furniture in your store, and then there's a limited amount of the items that you see in your store every day. So people started advertising these islands and used to charge money for people to go to them, which was, oh, that's a whole different thing. So, you know,
Sure,
but
Nintendo
anyway,
really didn't like that.
no, there a lot of those people got reported because, well, you could come use my island, and they were charging them like $30 for 2 hours a time. Where a Twitch streamer, I was supporting $5 for the month and got 24 hours, 7 days a week access to your Switch, which means your Switch has to be online all the time. That modified Switch, you have to have dedicated internet. That Switch has a dedicated computer usually.
Yeah, you're basically standing up your own little server at that point.
Yes, and one of my favorite streamers, Press, when he first started, had 12 Switches with 12 different treasure islands. That is 12 different copies of that game, which is one of my huge issues with Animal Crossing. With Nintendo, is that it is one island per Switch per game.
That makes no sense when you have multiple users.
Yeah, Storm, let's talk about that a little bit more. I know we've got that as a discussion point where you'll lead the issues with the game, but let's kind of elaborate on that, because that's
okay. If you say you have a family Switch and you want, you have an island. Well, once you start an island and you join, like Jamie L joins your game. Sorry. She can only use your island. So you can't, even though you have two different profiles on one Switch, you are both going to only be able to use that one island. So whoever first started the island is the owner of the island. I'm using air quotes.
So when you say one island, could I create a villager for myself and then create a second villager for Jamie Owls and have both villagers, but only one island?
Yes. Yeah, you're both on the island. That's it. But say if you want to do another island, because, you got this island all set up how you want. You want a second island? Nope, you can't. You need a whole nother Switch and a whole nother copy of Animal Crossing. And luckily, because Greg had his own Switch for my birthday present one year, I got a second copy of Animal Crossing because I wanted another island.
Now, I do want to ask this question. With all the talk of the treasure islands and, farming and stuff like that in the game, could that be the reason why Nintendo did one island per Switch?
No,
it was set up
the fact that
one island per Switch was start right at the beginning. All the treasure islands didn't come until way later down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder. My first thought when I hear that. Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thoughts, Simbu.
The only reason why I bring that up is because if you think about it, let's say, I can go to your island and you can go to my island, and it's a big social game. If you think about it, it's, if InfernoFox and Jamie Owls each have an island on the same Switch, what's stopping InfernoFox from just using Jamie Owl's account to farm for his own island?
Because he won't get the resources on his account. It'd be on her account.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but if you can, is there a way to share resources or, gift stuff to other accounts?
Yes.
Because if that's the case,
technically,
then
yes, you can. It takes a lot more work doing it, but yes.
Right, but again, that again, just bringing up a potential for why they decided to do it.
No, it was way before Treasure
Mhm.
Islands got popular, and the Treasure Island community really did get popular until around the pandemic, and everyone was locked in the summer.
Mhm.
Like May, June, July is when they blew up, and Animal Crossing came out like February, April in that year, and it was already in that game. There were already people complaining about, how do I do another island, and you can't.
Yep.
And it was coming out that, well, you just get another, even if you bought another copy of the game, it's tied to your Switch, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. So you would need a whole nother Switch and then a whole other game to do
Yeah,
it.
because Jamie Alice has her own copy of Animal Crossing. We each have our own Switches. I cannot take her copy of Animal Crossing and put it in my Switch and play it. It won't let me.
It actually, so I was gonna ask, like, what happens when you put game copy in someone else's Switch? I'm actually not familiar with how it's storing the
That
user
one I
account
don't know
stuff or
how that
whatever.
one works.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
does that Storm, does that mean it because I personally haven't done it myself. So Storm, if you put in your copy of Animal Crossing into Greg's Switch, does it work or do you get an error?
No, it works.
Okay.
It is tied to your account, so like I could not sign into my account
Oh,
on
gotcha.
his Switch and expect
So-
my island to be there. I would have to create my own villager account on his
So
island.
you don't necessarily need two copies of Animal Crossing, but only if you and Greg wanted to play at the same time.
Right.
Okay.
And
makes
Or if you're
sense.
running a Treasure Island, it sounds like you would
Or-
need two Switches and two copies.
Now,
Or-
I do have to say, in my particular case, like my Switch has my island on it. Now, my nephew, if he gets onto my Switch on his account, he gets his own house on my island, which, okay, no big deal. But anything I have set up and I'm trying to do, if he goes in there and messes with anything while he's playing it, it does affect everything on my side. So if he goes and changes things that I don't want changed, well, I guess we're tough out of luck on that because
Yep.
you're sharing the same
That
island.
sucks.
yeah,
Well, that's
here's
unfortunate.
with
Right. That's one of the big problems with that.
Yep. So if I were to log into Greg's Switch and using why we ended up with two copies, because I would need to log into his account all the time then on his Switch, because if I logged into my own account on his Switch, it would recognize that I already have an island and would want to transfer it to this new Switch.
Mm.
So that would
So-
just overwrite
Ah.
then. So
Right.
it is just there's one island, if you want, you
Yep.
can change it. You can't actually
Yep.
switch back and forth though.
Yep,
It's
that is
literally-
why
it's even more than just one island per Switch. It's one island per Switch per user, basically.
Yeah,
like
the
per
I was
account,
gonna say
an
this
account.
sounds to me like a limitation of a system that does something like tie a particular device ID to a particular user
Mhm.
account
Yep.
to make it so the island somehow you have to have both those things in place to even like access it. And I wonder if that simplifies things for them somehow networking wise or whatever. They seem very weird about their networking stuff in general. I feel like they're like a couple decades behind most everyone else
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah,
Just
you're not,
outsider perspective. but-
you're not wrong. It's generally they've spent the time to improve all of the online network infrastructure that's in Japan, but what is in the United States and possibly the PAL regions is pretty rudimentary. It's not anything
Okay.
like what Sony's got. Sony has an excellent network, and then Microsoft.
So do
has
they actually have a
incredible.
better setup in Japan, you're saying?
It-
Like
it's
there's
the-
a better network somehow?
Yeah,
Like better
yeah, so
software
it's-
actually?
It's the same where it's one copy of Animal Crossing per island per Switch, but the general setup with Nintendo Online is much better in Japan. I've heard that, at least with the online Smash community. It's a thing where if memory serves me, and probably those listening in the Smash community can add their comments in the comments section, I've heard that those that play online can do so just straight Wi-Fi without any lag, whereas that's a problem with trying to do that with Smash here in the States. But I apologize. I don't mean to digress and push into the Smash territory, but it's just interesting, the whole networking concept as it pertains to Nintendo. Nintendo has always shown a clear preference country-wise, and that's always been Japan.
Mhm.
Yeah. I wonder if what you described is more just a network infrastructure thing, though. Like, I bet Japan has better and more complete network infrastructure just based on the bit of time I spent there, ubiquitous high-speed internet access and all that.
Yeah, and it's probably ready to hold up all of Nintendo's stuff in general. It wouldn't that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, we're much more patchwork in the United States over here with our network setup. You might
Sorry,
be
an
middle of
Inferno
nowhere.
Fox.
Oh, what was
Sorry,
that, JML?
I was just gonna say, sorry, I'm not gonna share my island with you.
No, hey, that's
And no,
Yeah.
that is
mine.
a-okay. I've gone over 3 years without playing the game. I'm probably going to go another 3. That is a-okay.
Yeah, that
I don't know. Didn't you say the same thing about Fortnite?
well, you know, and that lag that you experience with Smash, and you know, if it disconnects the network, that lag's a huge issue for Treasure Island people. If you go into certain like Facebook groups, they have even on Twitch, whatever, they will have rules about what you can and cannot do on these islands to make sure that they don't crash, because repeated crashes on systems, they don't want anything suspicious, you know. You don't need Nintendo looking out, whatever.
Yep.
And when Nintendo releases updates, it takes the programmers days to come up with, you know, the fixes, so that way people can update their switches, the modified switches, because there's a chance if Nintendo releases a bug to fix it, then your switch is no longer modified and whatnot. So
Yeah, that's the race.
that lag thing, I was just thinking about the speed tests you have to do. Allison, who runs a Facebook group called Animal Crossing Share Zone, they just hit 22,000 members. She has rules about, you know, your speeds and whatnot, and here, do the speed test. And once in a while she will host her treasure islands for people with low speed connections who live in rural areas and they know their internet is slow, and the internet speed does cut into the cutaway scenes of the stupid game, which last forever, and or quality of life thing that Nintendo could fix.
Now, when
in
you
an
say
update, but yeah.
when you say cutaway scenes, maybe elaborate on that, because it's when the people visit your island and when they leave it, right?
Right. And thank you all for embracing the ADD as we go everywhere. So the cutaway scenes, when you go to visit someone's island, you first have to go through 1001 commands of telling the dodo of where you want to go when you're in the airport. And you, after multiple hit of the buttons and confirming 3, 4, 5 times that yes, you do want to do this, it announces to everyone on the island that you're visiting that, hey, you have somebody flying in, and it also lets you know your progress of flying over the island. While you are waiting for that person to come visit you or leave your island, you cannot do anything. The game stops you. You are then watching them fly in, fly out. You cannot do anything. It will yell at you to please close your pockets, stop everything that you are doing, and you now have to wait. So someone's internet speed that is slow, there are times that cutaway scene takes like 3 or 4 minutes.
They don't want anything to change
horrible
in their probably inefficient process of data exchange, getting that other person on that island and blowing it up. So simplest solutions, don't let anyone do anything.
Yep. So if someone coming in with bad connection causes a disconnection, everyone, sometimes you'll get kicked off of that island that were visiting, and then get sent back to your island. And if you went to a treasure island and got stuff in your pockets, it depends on when the last save was, and those items could be in your pocket or be out of your pocket, and then you would have to start the whole process all over again.
Oh my gosh.
Oof.
So that is why the internet speeds are a thing for these treasure island hosts, because also if you're disconnecting, then that's each time. Not everyone has a bot set up to automatically grab a new dodo code, and people want to
Yeah.
just set them up and not sit by their switches, because that's another great thing about Animal Crossing is you don't have to babysit it. You can turn it on and leave it and walk away, as I am guilty of doing with this game, because I love that. I don't have to babysit it. I don't need to constantly be doing something. If I want to come back and play, I can play. So having constant crashes on your treasure islands and having to get new dodo codes and updating everybody of what the new code is, because people lose their freaking minds over it. And some people are nice, but then they're, those who aren't. So the cutaway scenes are, again, just, they don't need to be that long. It could be a banner and let you just move. If you're on your own island, it doesn't matter if you're on a treasure island. I could be visiting Jamie Owl's island, and we would still have to sit through that cutaway scene. She could continue picking flowers or doing what she's doing. Just why to make an announcement, and why is it? Why? Their
Yeah,
systems
it's-
can handle it. It's stupid. It is one of these.
Sounds like it's a
stupid.
limitation though. Like clearly their system can't handle it, or at least they didn't do the work to make their system able to handle it.
Yeah.
Like, because like, yeah, that's gotta be that it just takes that long for this to happen for whatever reason. Again, this sounds like we're talking about a network computer game from 25 years ago when we described this problem.
And you're
Yes.
you're really not wrong, just based on the technology of the Switch itself. I mean, it's like based on Android tech, but we're looking at a Tegra chip that is 8 years old with a teraflop power of something that's equivalent to a PS3, which that's what is that?
Well, it's like for problems like this though, I mean, it's maybe I'm reaching here or whatever. I'm not claiming to have any knowledge whatsoever of what writing code for a Switch game actually is like, but just speaking very generally, nowadays it's like hardware is rarely the limitation unless you're doing crazy AI stuff or whatever, stuff like that. But like playing a game, it's like hardware is almost never going to be the limitation, but some problems are very hard to solve programmatically. So it's like this kind of thing. We have all these kind of clever solutions nowadays. Like my first thought when you describe this whole thing is like, just like if you're really worried about stuff changing, you could just like at least let the player still run around, put him in like a sandbox or something, make it so you don't have to actually stop everything you're doing, at least just provide a better experience for like basically the same limitation. Like there's, I don't think, long story short, I don't think like the hardware isn't good enough has anything to do with like the reason for this. I do think it's one of those things where like, because I mean, admittedly, network problems are awful to solve too, because the whole problem with networking stuff is nothing is reliable. Packets could arrive out of order, blah, blah, blah. There's all this crazy stuff you have to worry about. So, like I'm not saying it's not a hard problem, but like, again, it just sounds like this was a problem from like years ago.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that too, because like even briefly going to Smash, in between matches, when it's loading a match with up to 4 people, the individual person can be in a loading screen where it's a simple stage, but they can practice their techniques. There's
yeah, and maybe like for a fighting game, it was more obvious and natural to them that like we need to do this kind of thing because like why not? Like fighting game feels like a more natural. You should drop a guy in a room so he can punch a kick or whatever.
A different team itself that maybe is used to something like this or. But it kind of going back to what Storm is saying, like you would think this would be something that they would update, and within the updates themselves. To which I'm now going to put Storm back on her soapbox, because another issue with New Horizons are the updates or lack thereof. Am I right, Storm?
Lack.
Yes. You know what? Yeah. Yes. The last big update we had was now, I think, 2 years ago. And then they did that DLC, the DLC. However, what I would really, really like is quality of life updates, which I understand the network connecting things. And if that's a bigger issue to solve, maybe that's, a new Animal Crossing game and they'll solve that. The little things I'm talking about is let me craft an item, and if I want to craft 5 of those items, like they have these neat torches or
Yes.
like mushroom lamps, let me craft
Oh,
5 at a time
That
instead
would
of
be
1 at a
so
time,
nice.
where you're hitting
Mhm.
the A button and it's a constant repetition of doing the same dialogue and going through the same thing and da 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 da. Let me just like select either 5 or 10 and let your like hit X or something. Let me do more than just 1 at a time. You know,
I agree with you. I find that so annoying. If I wanted to make 5 chairs, I should do it at one time.
exactly. Instead of repeatedly having to say,
Mhm.
yes, I want to, are you sure you want to build this? Let's build this and da 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 da. Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
And for perspective for Astrimedes and Simbu, Animal Crossing New Horizons is the second highest Nintendo Switch game sold. They've sold 42.2 million copies as of March 31st. Comparing that to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is the number 1 seller at 53.79 million, and the number 3 seller of Smash Brothers Ultimate at 31.09 million. The reason I'm saying all that, you got the number 1 and you got the number 3 sellers, which had received constant updates, Smash Brothers being the exception. Their last update, I think, was like a year ago when Sora was added. But Mario Kart Deluxe just got its 5th of 6 DLC booster pack like 2 weeks ago. They're still updating that game. They were just added characters. They apparently changed a number of the mechanics. So why is it that they can update the first and third highest selling games that released in 2017 and 2018, but can't take the time to update the content, add content, update content, do quality of life stuff for the second?
Which game has more DLC people can dump more money into?
So you would think that, wouldn't it be the amount of copies
I would expect
sold?
Mario Kart. No, well, no, because I'm just thinking because like the reason to keep doing updates is to keep people coming back to the thing. You normally want to keep people coming back to the thing so they can keep paying you for things. So my first thought when you describe this scenario is there more DLC or more opportunity to throw money at Nintendo while playing Mario Kart than there is while playing Animal Crossing?
The idea is to with the game itself of Animal Crossing, of course, is to get the individual coming back to the island day after day. So just by that gameplay loop alone, you would think so, but Nintendo wants to get people to get that Nintendo Switch Online, especially that expansion pack, because you get all that DLC for free if you're registered for the expansion pack. You don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So it begs the question: is all that DLC content, is it worth it to be able to do that if, let's say, those 42.21 million copies are literally 1 per Switch, or the people that are just running the treasure islands or what have you, are they really going to be playing and using it versus those with Mario Kart, where that they're going to be connecting online and playing with one another consistently?
Yeah,
That
I'm
is.
just
Go ahead, Astrimedes.
I was just gonna say, of course, I first look at all this stuff through like the most cynical lens possible, which is like, is there a money reason it was designed this way? That's all I was gonna say. Go ahead, Simbu.
See, now when you say that Animal Crossing New Horizons is the second, top seller for Nintendo, again, when you compare it to games like Mario Kart 8 or you compare it to Smash Brothers Ultimate, the issue becomes with Mario Kart 8, I only have 1 copy per person. And it maybe not even 1 copy per person. If I have 3 people in my household and I have 1 Switch, maybe I'm not always playing it. So I only need 1 copy for 3 people. The copy sales are a bit skewed, in my opinion, on Animal Crossing, only because of the fact of these people that run these treasure islands. Because as Storm said, you've got people that have 40 copies of this game.
Yep.
So there's 39 extra sales that would not have happened for Mario Kart 8 or for Smash Brothers Ultimate, because one person's not going to buy 40 copies of Mario Kart 8 for themselves.
I wonder how significant a portion of the sales that really is, though. Because, like, obviously you're right. Like, these people are buying like compared to a normal person, an incredibly large amount. I wonder what the numbers look like. Obviously, there's going to be no way to
Exactly.
possibly
And
know that, but
I have to ask, in my personal opinion, when you get that high up in companies, they don't look at that kind of stuff. They just see the numbers. So those extra copies that are being sold are just extra numbers on their charts and graphs that make it look good for them.
Money,
Mhm.
money,
True,
money.
but
They don't
Go
take
ahead,
into
Jamie
account
Else.
for all that.
you're not wrong. However, if Nintendo knows that these treasure islands are going on and they know that they are a big thing, could that be part of the reason why they're not sure how accurate the player counts are? Could that be a reason that affects why there's lack of updating?
One of the things that made me think of the reason why is because they had been working on a new Animal Crossing, where maybe it's something where all the issues that Storm had been talking about, very valid issues such as quality of life stuff, maybe that's going to be in the next full version of Animal Crossing that they've been working on.
Yeah, that's a
Mhm.
really good point. That would feel like a complete waste to bother throwing your team to update the old game, especially if some of that stuff is a big lift because it's a major sea change in the system or whatever.
Because it's a thing
It's-
where Animal Crossing was released in the 3rd year of the Switch's life cycle. We're going into the 7th year, and there's talk that the Switch successor is coming out next year. Jamie Owls, I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
I was just gonna say about if they were to make a new Animal Crossing game, that they'll probably have it released when the next new Nintendo console comes out.
Yeah, there
Is that
was.
what you're trying to say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was I'm sorry, Jamie, there was an article not too long ago. Someone from Nintendo said that Animal Crossing's done getting updates,
Yeah.
and they will be working on a new one for the newer Switch that comes
Mhm.
out, and it is following the patterns of what they've done with Animal Crossing, the whatever the franchise, that every 4 years they get a newer game. So that's probably what the
So
go ahead.
my thought is, instead of investing the time and money into DLC that's just literally going to be free if you've got the NSO expansion pack, if they sold 42 million copies of the first of this Animal Crossing, let's develop another one, release it in 2024. Oh, I'm going to get another 40 million or 45 million within that same time frame. Obviously, between all of us here in the room and those listening, you're not going to run into the perfect scenario that happened with New Horizons with COVID occurring and sending everybody home. Yeah, Animal Crossing, when the next one comes out, will sell well, but I don't think it's going to hit the high levels that New Horizons did.
No, the numbers when they announced that it's like the #2 selling game for them, I always side eye that because I myself needed 2 copies of the game just to have 2 islands, and that annoys me. So I
And 2
it shouldn't be,
Switches.
and 2
Yeah.
Switches. So it's
And I quick side
Yeah.
question. So
Yeah.
as you were saying though, oh my god, now I'm gonna lose my train of thought. Oh my gosh.
It's only about the
Banhammer.
No,
islands.
I just lost my train. Yeah, I just lost my train of thought.
Uh-oh, his train of thought.
Stormrose, continue before you
Uh,
lose yours.
yeah.
Keep going with
The so as far as the sales will just like whatever, because I don't think it's fair to the other games in Nintendo's lineup because of how many people have had Switches and how many people have games. There is still the #1 streamer out there, and she has all of these on Robo Build and decided this was what she was going to do for her job. The last count, she had 39. And it's 39 active Switches that are on all the time with 39 copies of Animal Crossing. And remember, all of those accounts need you need a family account or something to get online also. So you could have a family account, but if that family account gets banned, or if one of your Switches gets banned on that account, it is banning the family account. That is why if I modded my Switch, I would get my own family thing and no longer be on the great, like put that one on
Right.
the
Yeah.
thing that
And-
wasn't conducted with Inferno Fox over here because it could screw up all of us, and I would not do that.
And
So-
just for everybody's education, you can get a yearly account for the NSO. The expansion pack is $50 for an individual, or 8 individuals on the family pack for $80, and that's for a year. So you pay that every year. And then the regular NSO, I think it's only 20 per individual and 50 for the family or something like that. But it really, and I don't think you need the family, the expansion pack to get online to the Animal Crossing. But if you want the DLC and not pay for it, then yeah, you'd want the NSO expansion pack. So if she's got 39, then she's probably got 5 family plans, running the risk of, if one gets hit, all of that 8 get hit. Might even be
Yep.
worth the savings. Honestly, to me, it's worth the savings or potential risk.
And that
Oh, and
that re-sparked my thought too. So
go ahead
do
before you
they-
forget it again.
yeah, really. So is Animal Crossing, would that be one of the games that they would have to give the DLC for free? Because like Pokemon, you don't get the DLC for free for having their expansion pass. You still have to buy their DLC. So could Animal
Interesting.
Crossing do that to where it's separate and they still charge for the DLC?
I think so. And you know what? I'm sorry to cut you off, but if
Uh,
they offered a DLC to where it would fix some of the quality of life issues, like allowing me to go in the clothing store, and if there are 5 of the t-shirts that I want because they're 5 different colors, I shouldn't have to go into the changing room every time to buy each color. I should be able to select them all right there and just buy all. If they said, for $20 or $30, this fixes that, absolutely. And I am not the only one who
Mhm.
feels that way. There are a lot of players who were disappointed with the
Yep.
last update that we got in the DLC, that it doesn't fix any of that. It's great that this DLC basically lets you go design villager houses on a different thing. And once you complete all of you got to design like 30 houses, you unlock the ability to then design their houses on your island. I've yet to finish the DLC because
Ah.
meh. So yeah, I think if they would charge for it, people would pay for it. But I wonder if they're just going to wait with the new Switch and the new Animal Crossing, so then they don't have to support this game because it's Nintendo. So like having Mario Kart updates is shocking because it's Nintendo. Some of their big games they just kind of, I feel like, ignore, and it feels like that's what they're doing with Animal Crossing because they know those of us will follow it hopefully to the new systems and buy the new games.
Yeah.
But
Would it be a concern though that people knowingly would have to spend money in order to get these DLCs? Kind of like with The Sims, you need to buy like certain extension packs if you want, because on The Sims they have like different versions. You can get like The Sims Pets or The Sims City Living. If you want that, you have to pay for it.
mhm.
Yeah, because that some of the DLC is like that with Animal Crossing, and I think that's Nintendo trying to portray themselves with a better image and say, hey, we're not EA, we're not gonna we're gatekeep all, or not gatekeep. That's not, we're not gonna
Microtransaction you to death.
exactly. Thank
Yeah.
you, Simbu. Thank you, because that's microtransactions aren't the big, evil mustachioed villain guy that they were like 5-10 years ago. For the most
Like
part, I feel
horse
like
armor days.
yeah, it's like something we've kind of accepted as a necessary evil nowadays. And but Nintendo, I feel like Nintendo knows that and wants to avoid it. And part of the reason why they have hooked the Animal Crossing DLC to that expansion pack, so that, okay, hey, you really don't have to pay it. We're good guys, but if you don't have our expansion pack, you got to pay it. We're not that good of a guy. But
Well, and
Yeah.
but here's the sorry, just here's the issue with that though. When you give away the DLC for next to nothing, because that's what it is. If you buy the expansion pack, that's what, 50 a year, right? I think you said, so you think about it, all the DLC that you get with that. Again, it comes to a point where, okay, we got high returns here when we released, but now we're getting diminishing returns as we continue, as the game continues its life cycle. So at some point, it becomes a question of, we're not bringing in a lot of money here. Do we continue supporting it at this high caliber level?
And it's more about, I feel like their DLC structure, and especially the Mario Kart one, the way that that's working, it isn't about Nintendo making money. It's about them trying to get people into that NSO expansion pack tier. Like they don't want the money as much as, okay, here's all the value you can get with going with this tier. And when they report every quarter with the shareholders, hey, this is how many people we got on the NSO expansion pack, it looks really good, and their stock price raises. At least that's
so that's all well and good. Go ahead.
So sorry, I was just going to ask. So NSO is Nintendo Store Online, right? I assume. Or something like that,
especially like the PlayStation Plus, the Xbox.
Yeah, okay. So that's NSO. So this NSO expansion pack is basically like a premium membership kind of thing, something like that, right? An extra
Similar
level of membership
like
where
you
Xbox
pay
more.
Game Pass.
Right,
and
right.
PlayStation Plus premium.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So you could argue that games that get updates automatically through the games are, in fact, like an ad for the premium membership.
Because not only do you get the Animal Crossing and Mario Kart DLC, but you also get the Nintendo 64 Virtual Console, you get the Sega Genesis Virtual Console, and the Game Boy Advance Virtual Console.
Yep. But you don't own any of it. As soon as you stop paying, it's not yours anymore.
Yep, it's gone.
Animal Crossing DLC you can get for $30. It's $29.95 on its own.
Yep, and you pay that once, and it's yours.
But you have it.
Yeah. And of course they're going to price it such that you're going to ask yourself, well, should I buy this or should I just do that annual membership and then get all these other DLCs and whatever too?
Bingo.
And keep paying it every year.
But again, the question is, Nintendo may be getting the money from the expansion pass or expansion pack or whatever it is, but how much is the Animal Crossing developer making off of that?
With them being first party, that's not an issue because
if it's first party, yep.
But you bring up a great point, Simbu, because if I was a third party developer, what would be my incentive for wanting to have a DLC that was within the branch of the NSO expansion pack? Although I would guess that wouldn't even be, I bet you Nintendo would probably shutter that, wouldn't even provide that as
I mean, I could see a setup where Nintendo actually offers some bonus, like on the back end to the developers. If they do release updates through there, they could say, take less a cut, say, of their stuff on the digital store or whatever. They could offer some kind of incentive, but I think you're almost certainly right, InfernoFox, given the way Nintendo operates. They tend to be very insular, and it feels like they'd more just keep that as you're on the Nintendo train. These are some of the benefits.
Yeah.
Right. And well, that again, here's the thing too, is that skews, I would gander that it would skew the revenue intake for a game. Because, let's say Nintendo has a plan. They have okay, we're going to support X, games, but if you put extra content on this expansion pack and you're basically giving it away for free, because let's be honest, you give away free stuff, you give away 30 free things, and you charge $50 a year for it. Well, that's 30 free things a month. Look at PlayStation Plus's giveaway stuff. That changes, every month, every couple months,
Right.
So eventually, like I said, it comes with diminishing return. It comes with a diminishing return the more that you constantly release for this. And Nintendo may
And
But
Simbu, you're 100% right, and that may also be additional reasons why they've kind of stopped the additional DLC or providing more content into Animal Crossing, because diminished returns. Why keep adding into that singular game when they can work on the next game? I apologize, Simbu.
right, no, 100. You are 100% on my train of thought here. And again, like that, we can keep releasing DLC, we can keep supporting this game, we can keep updating this game, or we can go after that 42 million payday in 3 years.
Yeah, because like
With
42
the next
million
game.
times $60, like you're and the Animal Crossing games don't cost a lot of money to develop. I mean, there's a lot of tax, there's a lot of everything like that, but it's not such a thing where it's so graphically intensive, or it's a AAA experience like a Final Fantasy 16 that costs $200 million to develop. And kind of going on that end, it just shows the high level of creativity that not only the devs have in regards to this particular game, but even the community itself. Because you got a lot of people that are designing stuff like custom clothing, signs, paths, wallpapers on their islands, where you go to their island and you're seeing this custom design stuff. And then there's also Facebook groups, as Storm mentioned, Twitch streams and whatnot, where they even do like giveaways in real life, monetary prizes and whatnot to group members with a lot of this. So just the whole creativity aspect that this game has had. I mean, we've seen this with Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and even Breath of the Wild 6 years ago, how creative individuals can be with a lot of this. Storm, do you have any specific shout outs regarding that creative aspect?
There are, oh, I should have looked it up, but I can for next one. I do have a few favorites that have saved some designs, that I've saved some designs for. There recently, I just put up on my island, somebody made the mystery van from Scooby-Doo
Ah,
Oh,
as
cool.
panels and put those on. There's a lot of unicorns and a lot of teddy bears, and I love the gnomes in the game. So yeah, a lot of, there's no one in particular that stands out, but there are a lot of individual artists that you look at Instagram. There are people that will share their designs on Instagram or in Pinterest.
Does it seem like this one has like more capability to kind of like create things, or more ability to make like unique things than past entries in the series from what you know or have seen?
Yes, from what I have seen, definitely. I know people miss the older games just because the dialogue apparently with the villagers was different than it is now
I
in
think
New
it was a little more
Horizons.
tongue in cheek on previous entries, if I'm
Yes,
remembering right.
yeah. So people miss a lot of that because it's a lot more toned down, even though I've figured ways around the system to get them to swear, so it's fine. But yeah, I think so. The creativity there, because once you get the clothing store on your island, you get access to a portal that is the custom design portal and lets you either post your own designs that you create, or you can then search key terms or to find designs that others have shared. But in that portal, you can create your own clothes or pathways, or like little signs that will end up, you can use your furniture, put on your furniture. Some of the furniture can be customized to show whatever. So yeah.
Interesting. I got to beg the question. One last thing here regarding the creative aspect. Jason, I'm going to put you on the spot because you've had a lot of experience with Minecraft, especially with your nephew. Have you seen any sort of parallels between Minecraft and Animal Crossing, and not just the creative aspect, but just kind of in general?
good question. I can't really. The two of them together really doesn't mesh. Like
Doesn't
there's the creative in Minecraft is like literally. I keep saying it's if you want to play Legos on your TV, because it is literally just playing Lego with Legos. Where Animal Crossing, you don't have that kind of creativity. It is literally making, like Storm said, it's making like the shirts and making signs, making like your pathways and stuff. And I've downloaded a few things myself, and I've got clothes for my characters, and I've got different signs and pathways that I've downloaded and used on my island also. So it's still creative. It's just a completely different in my eyes as to the different ways to do stuff.
I've seen Microsoft gameplay. I've seen Minecraft gameplay because Greg played it there for a bit. The collecting of resources reminds me
Yes.
of
Okay,
Minecraft.
now that part would be similar, yeah.
But the way that people design their islands, they have to use items within the game to help create, scenes. So you really have to, use your
Yes.
imagination to see it. Whereas Minecraft, you are able to build these worlds within the game if you know the right programming and if you're on the right servers and things. So I think Minecraft yields a little bit more creative freedom that way. But Animal Crossing, if you have a pen that you can draw on with an iPad and stuff, that's how people transfer certain designs to Animal Crossing. I know there's a way to do it using like the QR codes and things like that to transfer your designs. But to just butt in after that, I think that the Minecraft does give you a little bit more creative freedom because you can program things and make really cool worlds, where Animal Crossing, you're limited to, making these worlds by items within the game.
Gotcha. And that makes sense. It's really cool to have the outlets that the developers for Mojang, Nintendo, and everything really have in these very different sets of titles. Just it's amazing the kind of art that really can be created. And want to go ahead and wrap it up here for our Animal Crossing discussion. We'll probably branch into just kind of the whole cozy game discussion overall, maybe in one of our next podcasts, because we're really running into time here. But I just want to take the time again to thank everyone for joining, as well as our audience here. Just want to give a quick shout out and outros to all of our individuals, just for everyone's sake that has joined in, just so you know what's coming up this Saturday. I've got my video on my ongoing series of a Nintendo fanboy reviews Sega Genesis games, specifically Rocket Knight Adventures. It's the 10th review, so figured I do one of the lesser known games, but one of the ones who, if any individual has played Rocket Knight, they really know it quite well and know it to be a great game. So also premiering tomorrow is a very quick unboxing reveal video that I have for a Grid Game Boy Grid Studios Game Boy Shadow Box art. Going to be a real quick thing. So hope you guys can join me for that. Again, big, huge shout out to Stormrosesky for all of her help putting together a lot of the information here with this Animal Crossing centric podcast. And again, Storm, you can find her on Twitch and YouTube, Stormrosesky. Storm, thank you again.
You're welcome. And I just put up my first video last week, the top 6 forgotten TV shows of the 80s. I'm gonna explore some nostalgia, and that is going to be my first one. Next one, I think I'm gonna do forgotten cartoons of the 80s before I start getting into my favorites and whatnot. So looking forward to it.
That sounds fun.
So far it has been. I appreciate Inferno Fox and his feedback. That helped out. So
yeah, and the video itself it's a lot of fun, being able to reminisce and be like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yep, that's all I wanted.
Those feels.
Yes, exactly. Weigh in on that, especially being born in 1980. I got it. So
Get
also,
all those feels.
Yes.
Also, Jamie Owls, thank you for joining us as well, giving your feedback regarding Animal Crossing.
Yeah, no, thank you. Really, Stormrosesky took the lead in everything, and honestly, some of the things that I learned today about Animal Crossing, and I've been playing it for almost 3 years, but not as much as Stormrosesky. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And Jason the 13th, again, you can find Jason the 13th at Jason the 13th on YouTube. You can catch his gameplay videos for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Fork Knife, and various Pokemon. Jason, thank you again for joining.
Not a problem. Happy to be here.
And Astrimedes, again, part of the developer for Second Place Games, developer and part owner. Astrimedes, thank you so much again for joining, as well as doing additional research and for your developer-centric feedback. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Always happily ramble about things I may or may not know anything about.
And last and definitely not least, Simbu Darkfang. You can find him at Basement of the Dead in Aurora, Illinois. That again is Basement of the Dead. Simbu, thank you for joining us. And I know this is a tough topic, especially because you, me, and Astrimedes have little to no play experience regarding the Animal Crossing, this specific entry in the series as a whole. But we've got a lot of background with video games in general, so I really appreciate your general but strong video game knowledge. Thank you.
Oh, you know, I mean, at least I got something going for me.
All righty, my friends. So that's a wrap. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. You can catch us again on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and first and foremost under YouTube, InfernoFox Gaming. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and make sure to catch us on the next one.
Thank you. Bye.